Hey guys, welcome to another episode. Today I'm going to show you how to dip your wheels from beginning to end. I'm going to be taking the wheels off of this BMW X3 behind me, clean them up, take off all the brake dust, and dip them gloss black. Stay tuned, and that's what we're going to be doing today. Alright, so the first step that we got to do today is jack the car in the air so we can take the wheels off the car. Now, you can check in your owner's manual where you can find the jacking points on your car so you can safely get the car up in the air. Now, if you've got a jack and 4 jack stands, it makes life really easy because you can get all the wheels off and do them all at the same time. If you have to do one side at a time, it's not a big deal, but it's just going to take you a little bit longer. So with the jack holding the car up in the air, you want to position your jack stands right here underneath the points on your car. So I'm doing one side at a time. After I do these, I'm going to lower it so the jack is not supporting the weight of the car and all the weight is on here. With the weight of the car now suspended on the jack stands, we can now safely take the wheels off. When you're doing this, you want to make sure that the car has the e-brake off and the car is in neutral. You don't want the car to be in gear when you're using this, a breaker bar like this, to take off each and every one of these studs. If you do, you might damage your transmission. So keep it in neutral to play it safe. Now, if you have an impact gun, take advantage of it because it'll make your life very easy and you can take these studs off in a matter of seconds. To remove the wheel if it's not coming off easily, you want to put 2 bolts back in here, just lightly, and then from the back side of the tire, hit it so that the aluminum or steel wheel can break free from the steel brake rotor. And you can see now how the wheel is free. Alright, so after you got each one of the wheels off, take them off and set them aside and try and keep them in a safe spot that you know which ones are going. So this one here, this is for the driver front, that one's driver back, passenger rear, passenger front. Just so you have an idea of which way the tire should go back on afterwards. So the next step is going to be prepping this wheel so we can dip it and make sure that the PlastiDip will stick and adhere properly. Now if you have any clear coat that's coming up, you want to get rid of it 100%. So sand it down so there's no clear coat or anything flaking up and coming up. Now what I'm going to do first is I'm going to remove the center cap. So to do that, spin the wheel around to the back side and then push from the middle and the thing will come right out. Just like that. Spin it back around and then we'll start cleaning this wheel. You can use any kind of wheel cleaner when you're getting this done. I'm going to be using Meguiar's Wheel Brightener. That's only because I know it does a very good job and it works very well. So spray this on. And then get this wheel completely clean. Take your time to clean your wheels. Try and get as much brake dust off as possible in this step. Don't be scared to clean your wheels a second time if you've missed any brake dust. Now I spent a good 15 minutes cleaning up the front side, the tire, the rim, and including the back side. You want to do this to all 4 of your wheels and then let everything dry so there's no water left on top. Alright guys, so after we clean up the wheels and everything, you have to make sure that all this is dry. Now I'm going to dry this up, but in the meantime, grab your PlastiDip that you're going to be using and throw it inside a 5-gallon bucket of hot water. This way, all the PlastiDip inside the can is going to be warmed up and it's going to shoot and spray very nicely. It's going to have a very nice fan pattern because all the PlastiDip inside can atomize a lot better because you're working with smaller particles. Now it doesn't matter how you dry up the wheel. Bottom line is the tire has to be completely clean and dry and there can't be any water in between any cracks between the rim and the tire, inside the lug nuts, or wherever you're going to spray. Now it doesn't matter if you use compressed air, if you use a hair dryer, if you use a heat gun, whatever. The bottom line is it has to be dry. So whichever way you use, go ahead and get it done. So once you have the tire completely dry and there's no water left on it, you want to apply some kind of coating on top of the tire so that when you spray down your PlastiDip and get some on the tire, you can easily peel it off and remove it. Now you can go on the dipyourcar.com website and pick up some products there, or if you want to go a little cheaper option, you can use a solvent-based tire shine. Now I'm going to be using Meguiar's Endurance Tire Gel. I'll put a link in the description for it. You guys can apply some of this to an applicator just like this, and then rub it onto the tire. Now this will make it so the PlastiDip will stick to the rim, but not the tire. Now whatever you do, try and be careful. Don't apply any of this stuff to the rim because if you do, the PlastiDip won't stick to it. So just be careful and take your time with it. The more you prep the car right now, the easier taking all that stuff off, all the PlastiDip off later is going to be. So if you do a good job now, it'll take you 2 minutes later to remove it. The beauty of this too, if you're using this product, is that because it's a solvent-based tire dressing, once you're done using it, and you take the PlastiDip off the tire is left nice and shiny, like a nice healthy tire would. I'll show you guys later what I mean. You'll see how awesome this stuff is. You want to do this to all of your tires. So apply some on all of this part, on each one of them, and then we can actually get ourselves ready to start dipping the wheels. After you put the tire shine on the outside perimeter of the tire, you can get your can of PlastiDip that was in your bowl of hot water, attach it to a spray trigger, something like this, and then start spraying the wheel down. Don't forget to give it a shake, stir up all the contents inside there, and then get started. For the first coat of PlastiDip, you want to apply an even layer over the entire wheel. To do that, you want to drag your wet coat of PlastiDip over the wheel. That involves starting in one spot, then frogging over from side to side to drag that wet edge around to the other side. This way, when you get to your end position, both sides will be wet together instead of putting dry dip over top of wet dip. You want to try and get as much of the wheel covered as possible in your first coat. However, you aren't looking to make it completely black. This is why we're building up our layers with multiple coats. Just try to get a thin layer of dip over the wheel, including some of the hard to reach areas. If you can't get them all at this time, it's not a big deal because the second coat will be more focused on those spots. To make the peeling of the dip on the tire easier, spray a final bit of PlastiDip around the entire wheel so you have a decent amount of product on the tire so you can lift it easily. So with the wet coat over the entire rim, we're going to let this sit for a good 10-15 minutes, come back, and then hit it again with the second coat. You want to come back and hit this with another coat after the entire wheel has gone to a nice matte finish. If it's still kind of glossy or satiny kind of look, you want to let it sit for a little bit longer. So when it goes to a complete matte finish, come back and we'll hit it again with a second coat. After your first coat, you want to try and go over the rim and get the areas that you weren't able to hit the first time. Now, before I do this front face, I'm actually going to lift the wheel up and do the barrel of the wheel. This way, the entire wheel is going to look black from the front all the way to the back. So when you look at it when it's mounted on the car, it's going to look like it's been professionally powder coated or painted. Spray the barrel with the same technique used for the top. So begin in one area and then leapfrog from side to side to drag your wet edge. Spray the entire barrel with a good coat of PlastiDip so you have a wet layer of dip over the entire thing. Don't forget to spray the perimeter of the tire with PlastiDip too, so it's easy to remove later on. Now, under no circumstances do I ever dip the mating surface where the wheel is going to be mounted onto the car. The brake rotor on the car gets very hot and I wouldn't want to get any rubber on it. Give the wheels a good 15 minutes to dry so they can turn matte. This way we can start spraying the top face with a second coat. Turn the wheel back over to the proper side so we can come back and hit this again with a second coat. So as you can tell now that it's got a matte finish to it, you're going to get your can and come in here and try and get the areas you weren't able to hit the first time. So a lot of those angles that are like on the sides are really hard to get to, that's where you want to hit this time. So take your time, go ahead and put down a second coat. Similar to the first coat, you want to apply the PlastiDip in the same wet manner. This way the PlastiDip will be able to dry in one uniform layer, resulting in no texture or unevenness. For this second coat, you want to focus on the areas you weren't able to hit the first time around. So if you weren't able to get your lug nut area, focus on there. If you found some areas on the sides of the spokes very difficult to get to, start off maybe there. You get to see me up to the challenge at this wheel because it's very intricate. Not only are there spokes that go up and down, but they also twist and have small clearances, making it difficult to get PlastiDip into there. If you have a regular 5-spoke wheel, you shouldn't have a problem with this. After the second coat is dried, spray down at least another 2 coats in the same fashion. This way the wheel will have enough PlastiDip built up on it so it will be able to last for years to come, whether it's hot summers or cold winters. Not only that, you want enough product down so you can peel it up later should you want to remove it. If you don't spray enough coats, the PlastiDip won't want to lift in one nice sheet. It'll come up in tiny flakes and it'll take you hours to remove it. After you finish off your last coat and you let it dry, you want to either leave it there as a matte finish or you can add an enhancer. Now I'm going to be using glossifier. I'll put a link in the description for it. You guys can pick some up from there. I'm going to be using this and I'm going to be spraying it on the wheel to give it a glossy look to it. So the way you want to spray this down is a first light dusting, and then the second coat you come in at is going to be a nice wet coat. And I'll show you guys exactly what I mean. So the first is a light dusting. So you just spray over the entire wheel without going too thick. You're gonna only put this down there so the second layer that we put down is gonna be able to really grab on and really feed onto something. So give your can a shake and give a nice little dusting over the wheel. You can definitely tell that I'm spraying it in a completely different fashion from before. It's okay, this is normal. You want to try and get every crack and crevice, just like our regular plastic. So you're going to do one coat like this, and then your next coat is going to be a little bit wet. It's going to be a nice, wet, shiny, wet coat. And I can't stress enough on how important it is to spray it wet. And the reason is, if you don't spray it with a wet coat for the second time, you're not going to have a shiny finish to it. Even if you're using the glossifier, you might finish up with a satin or even close to matte finish. Alright guys, so for the last coat of the glossifier, we're now going to have to put on a wet coat, as I said earlier. So when you're going over the entire wheel, you want to basically take your time and make sure that the entire coat is shiny and reflective. If you leave it like another coat, like the last one we just did, it'll be kind of like this and it'll have like a little textured kind of look. Take your time and do it right. So shake up the can and start going. So once all the PlastiDip is dried up, we can mount them back onto the car. Now before we do that, we're gonna have to put the center caps back on the wheel. Now in order to do that, all you do is align it whichever way you want and then hit it down. So I'm gonna have it so the BMW is actually facing the tire valve. So align it right in the middle. Oops. Align it like that, and then just push it down. Just like that. Now when you're blacking them out, if you want, you can get like different colored center caps. So my buddy's actually going to be getting black and white BMW emblem right here. But again, it's all a matter of your choice. The old ones will fit perfectly fine back in the way they are. Our next step is mounting the wheel back onto the car. So lift it up, put it on the rotor, and then grab your bolts and run them through into the studs. Now just an extra measure, if you guys want, you can put some copper anti-seize on the back side of your rim, where the rim is actually going to be mounted up onto the brake rotor. Now this is going to make it so the wheel can come off easily next time when you want to take the wheel off. So get a little bit of the product and dab it onto the mating surface of the rim. You'll be thinking now, oh, why the heck am I doing this? Well, you'll be saving yourself a lot of time and a lot of headaches later if you do this. You don't need much, you just need a little coating on top of there.
If you're going to be using an impact gun, you don't want to use it at its hardest setting. You only want to use it so it just slightly tightens the lug nut onto the wheel. After that, you're still going to have to torque up your wheels properly to the manufacturer's spec. Now to find that, you can look in your service manual or even inside that little book inside your glove box. Take a look in there and it should have your torque spec for your wheel. Tighten it up properly in this star pattern, and then the car is good to go.
With the car now on the floor, we can actually take off all the extra PlastiDip that's on the tire. So because we put the tire gel on there before, you can see how easy this is coming up. You simply just find one spot on one end and then bring it over and drag it all the way to the other side. It's pretty easy. Now if there's any little PlastiDip that's stuck up top, what you can do is you can grab a tire brush, scrub the top, and it comes clean right off. Just for added measure, you guys can put some dip coat on a microfiber applicator, spray it down and put it on all your tires. All the surface that's dipped, if you put this stuff on, it'll actually feel kind of plasticky and it won't be as grippy as the regular rubber that the PlastiDip is like. And guys, that's how you dip your wheels from beginning to end. If you guys have any questions regarding the video, please post them down in the comments below and I'd be happy to help. Again guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.